Travis in Pennsylvania thinks he had a paranormal experience, and it's time to welcome Travis to the show. Travis, welcome to the Atheist Experience. You're on with Dan and Matt.
Hey guys, how's it going? Dan and Matt. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I've been listening for a couple of years, maybe since a year or so before Tracy left the show. But anyway, yeah, I've been an atheist my entire life. I grew up in church. My grandmother was a preacher. She had her own church, her own congregation. I could never get away from it. But it never really like took hold to me, even as a 6 or 7 year old child. Like talking snakes and all that stuff never made any sense. So basically been this way my entire life, not believing in a God. But a couple of months ago, I just had like this weird experience. I'm home alone. I wake up in the morning. I wear glasses and, you know, I get up early in the morning. So there wasn't anything different about my day. I got up, put my glasses on, and I saw something fly around my room. It kind of flew from one side of my bed, flew up towards the ceiling. It kind of like swooped down in front of my face and then swooped back on the other side of the bed. I ran out the room, closed the door, immediately called animal control, and it was maybe 5 o'clock in the morning. Couldn't get anybody on animal control. Called 2 or 3 different services. Couldn't reach anybody. Wind up just calling my job and telling my manager, hey, I'm going to be in a little bit late this morning. There's something in my room. I don't know if it's a bird or a bat. So my manager gave me the suggestion of, hey, just maybe if you crack your window in your room and keep the door closed, whatever it is, it'll fly out. So I go in the room, looking around, really didn't see anything in there at that time, but I still took a suggestion, cracked the window open, closed the door behind me, went to work, came back later after work. And then I decided, you know, let's see what this was. So I'm in the room again looking for evidence of something, you know, fur, dirt, dust, feathers, anything. Didn't see any evidence of an animal at all in the room. So for a day or so, I'm sitting here really contemplating, like, evaluating myself, my mental situation. You know, it was early in the morning. I do wear glasses. I get that. But I really saw something. Something was there. Something was there. It was enough for me to make phone calls to other people. And so evaluated that for a day or so and really thinking to myself, you know, wound up talking to one friend and told him the situation. And I confessed to him. I said, dude, I think I had a hallucination. I think I saw something that wasn't there, and it really spooked the shit out of me. Sorry for my length. I'm so sorry. But it spooked me. I don't know what it was. And we talked about it for a minute, and basically I just let it go because I didn't see it again, and I let it go. And about 2 weeks later, my girlfriend was at the house. We were having a conversation, and she said something, and I said, what? And she was like, oh, yeah, like you saw a ghost. And I was like, why did you say that? And she's like, oh, well, I saw something in here. And I'm like, well, what did you see? And she described to me what I saw. And I never told her what I saw. I told 3 people that there was an animal in my house. Once I decided to myself that maybe it wasn't an animal and maybe it was a hallucination, I was nervous to tell anybody else that other than a good friend. So I never told my girlfriend, hey, I think I, was hallucinating. And she described to me exactly what I saw without me telling her what I saw. And that, I don't know, it just makes me feel like I can see how some people honestly feel justified in saying that, they had a paranormal, supernatural, or some type of event experience. Why? And because it feels so real. It feels
well. If it feels real, that's not supernatural. So what is it about it that you think justifies paranormal or supernatural?
I'm sorry.
What is it about it that you think is
I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to figure out what is it. I get it. Something happened and you don't know what it is, but you're like, now I understand why people could understand. But what is it that's supernatural or paranormal?
Like I say, I really sat down and tried to replay this instant over and over and over in my head, and trying to break it down. And the more I played it back, it seems like this thing that I saw, I told my friend, like, I think it's a bat. And for some reason I'm saying it's a bat because it didn't make noise. I don't know why I thought that, like, oh, bats are silent or something that flies silent. But I saw something that it flew, it made no noise at all. And it moved so fast that it seemed like it was void of a shape. So I know that, and what I saw in conjunction with somebody corroborating and describing to me the exact same thing that I saw, and when she said, "Oh, I saw a ghost," I'm like, "Girl, please, how do you know was it a bat or a bird or something?" She said, "No, it wasn't an animal, and it flew and it didn't make any noise." I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "It was black. It was like a black form, and it went from one room to the other room without making a sound." And she said, "I went in the room and I didn't see it."
Honestly, from what you're describing, that does sound like a bat to me. Bats can be very quiet. They're very small mammals, and you'd be surprised, especially in the early mornings where I live in Waco. There would be bats sometimes that would go from tree to tree, and you could see them moving from tree to tree, but you wouldn't hear a single one. We got a lot of bats here in Austin. Actually, Austin's kind of known for having this big bridge on Congress where lots of bats come out from underneath it, and you can see a bunch of these animals in the air, and you may not necessarily hear them. A lot of times you can because there's just so many of them. But they're small animals, and they can get into places where you least expect it. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a bat, honestly. But it's hard to verify stories like this, obviously, because we're not looking at anything. We're just hearing hearsay from a caller. But if I had to guess, if my money would be on a bat. But yeah, it doesn't have to be supernatural. I don't know.
The big thing is, and my money be on a bat too, because, well, I've had bats on my front porch, and I know they don't fly or sound like a bird. And because they're, in many cases, small enough, they're mice, they're flying mice. And so the same way a mouse can get into your house, a bat can get into your house. However, whatever it is, for right now, I would say that the right answer is, I don't know, but I don't see any reason to think that there's anything paranormal or supernatural.
I can agree with you guys, and that's the whole position I try so hard to keep my foundation on. But once again, that's why I say I see how some people just won't let things go. But I haven't believed in the paranormal, supernatural. I watch you guys' show to strengthen my arguments when I'm debating with family members who are still in the religious spectrum, and I don't believe this stuff, and that's what I tell people right now. Is like, when I tell the story, I just, at the end of it, I say I don't know what it was, but I definitely, I don't think it was a bat. I don't know what it was. I would even go as far as saying maybe I just hallucinated something in my girlfriend.
I'd also point out that
saw something different, or
I'd also point out that you don't know what your girlfriend saw, or whether it was the same thing, or whether you guys are just doing your best to describe a weird experience that each one of you had. So it could be that you guys saw the same thing. It could be that you didn't see the same thing. But if my girlfriend came to me and said, "Oh, that was a ghost," I'd have to have a sit down with, okay, how did you determine that was a ghost? Because I have no evidence of ghosts, and I certainly am not just going to go leaping to, that weird experience I had was a ghost.
Yeah, it is interesting what we kind of consider in the popular culture of what constitutes the paranormal, right? Because it's not just the classical image of a ghost, like a I don't know, a see-through person. It's also orbs. It's also stuff moving in the night sometimes. If you think about it, like, we call a lot of things paranormal that are actually like really different things, at least in kind of popular culture. So I don't know. My money is still on a bat, especially if it's the early mornings and, you can't find it anywhere. Just because you can't find the thing either doesn't mean that it's not there either. Like Matt said, they are kind of like flying mice. But at the end of the day, I don't know. It's not going to convince me one way or the other. I know personal experience can be kind of, motivating towards certain beliefs. But yeah, just based on what you told me here, I don't know. It seems like there's naturalistic explanations that we could call plausible here. So That's my take.
Yeah, I'd be more likely to call an exterminator than a ghost hunter is probably the best way I could put that.
Yeah.
If I'm going to investigate further, I'm calling the exterminator and not a ghost hunter.
Yeah, I would do that as well.
Anyway, thank you. Thanks for the call, Travis. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, guys. I love the show, and I'll continue to listen. Y'all have a good day.
Cheers. Thanks.
So I got to tell you, because I was watching Ghost Adventures with Drew this week because we were just doing that, and there is this
had to be high or something because there's no way I can put up with that show. Go ahead.
But hey, listen, there's this episode of Ghost Adventures. I talked about this on Truth Wanted. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen, Matt. They were at this old hospital or whatever, and they set up a Kinect camera, like Kinect for the Xbox camera, and they like caught like a you know, it can like read your body movements and face and stuff, and they picked up something next to a guy at this hospital, and they're like, oh look, this Kinect picked up this ghost at this hospital, and I was dying, man. I thought it was the funniest thing.
Kinect picked up the ghost.
The Kinect picked up the ghost. We've been missing out, dude. We need to use Kinect technology to find ghosts.
Well,
that's the secret.
I have a Kinect down in a box because I haven't used my Xbox in forever.
Set it up for a 24-hour period. See if you pick something up, and then we'll know for sure. Because according to Zach Baggins of True TV's Ghost Adventures, or Travel Channel's Ghost Adventures, that's a good way to do it. That's a good way to do it. So,
all right.